workbooks.com.
Welcome everybody, bienvenue mesdames et messieurs, thank you very much. Let me be the first to say happy Valentine's Day. For those of you who are here, let's celebrate it, let's enjoy, let's learn, and let's find a way for you to manage your relationships, no matter what kind of relationships they are. So when we begin here, okay, the way I decided to present this, rather than it just being a lecture, I'm going to present a variety of slides in the form of a quiz. I find this more fun when I work with clients, that they have a chance to take part and interact. It's about finding out how much you already know about friends with benefits. The friends with benefits relationship is not for everyone. Let me start off right from the beginning. It's not for everybody. Many people go into it because it seems like a good idea at the time. Turns out, for some people, it's not a good idea. If you're going to enter a friends with benefits relationship, it's very important to learn how to manage your feelings, how to manage your behaviors, and what rules to set for yourself. So let's start off with the first slide. Who do you tell the identity of your friends with benefits to? Now you can say the letter A, all of your friends. B, all of your other friends with benefits. The idea is that if you have more than friends with benefits, you identify them. C, your future life partner. And D, no one. So just for fun here, how many people think the answer is A? Raise your hand. No. Okay, we got one. How many people think that B is the answer? You have to tell your other friends with benefits. No one. Okay. How many people think C, your future life partner, is the answer? We got one. And D, you tell no one. Okay, the majority of you. All right. The answer is C, you tell your future life partner. Part of the work I do is that I work in couples counseling. And one of the things that people come to me as a couple, and the major issue is they find out that someone within their circle was a former friends with benefits, and they didn't know. Now the issue is the person says, well, it was in the past, it shouldn't matter, it's private information. That works good on paper. In real life, your life partner might feel that, wait a minute, if you're hiding this from me, why are you hiding it from me? Is there something still going on? Should I be worried? What else are you not telling me? Next thing you know, you're coming in for couples counseling. So if you are going to engage in a friends with benefits relationships, be mindful that at the very least, one day, your future life partner will have to know the identity of your past friends with benefits, especially if they're still in your social circles. Next question. How often should you visit a friends with benefits? As often as possible, A. 2 to 3 times a week, B. C is every weekend, and D, once a week or less, and occasional weekend getaways. So how many people think it's A? When you want to see friends with benefits often, is it A, as often as possible? No one. Okay. B, 2 to 3 times a week. No, we got one maybe. Okay. C, every weekend. Okay, no one there. D, once a week or less, and occasional weekend getaways. Yeah, the majority say D. You're right. The majority's right on this one. Part of being a friends with benefits means you don't want to see the person too much. A friends with benefits is not someone who wants to spend the rest of their life with you, so because they're not prepared to make that kind of commitment, they get a limited amount of time with you. You have to be free to meet other people and to keep yourself free to meet a future soulmate. When you are in public or in a social setting with a friends with benefits, you should A, hold hands, B, touch each other affectionately like a romantic couple, C, make inside jokes about intimacy, or D, act like friends only, no romantic talk or touching. So what do you think? When you're in public with your friends with benefits, how many people think that A, you should be able to hold hands? No one. Okay. B, you should touch each other affectionately like a romantic couple. No. Okay. C, you can make inside jokes about intimacy. Okay. D, you have to act like friends only. No romantic talk or no romantic touching. The majority again, and the majority is right. The whole point about friends with benefits is that you are friends. If you can point out, hey, I think those people are involved, you're doing it wrong. Right now, if I had a friends with benefits in the audience, no one should be able to say, yeah, that's the one. If you're giving off that sign, here's what you're doing. If there's another person in the room who's interested in you, and they want to approach you, they want to start a conversation, maybe they want to date you, they're going to hold back if they assume that there's something going on between you and someone else. They don't know how serious it is or not. When someone asks you anything about your friends with benefits, even if they guess who it is, you should answer 1. A, nothing, remain silent. B, that you do not discuss such topics with anyone. You let them know it's not their business. C, you confirm the name of the person and then tell all the details of the sex. And D, you talk about how often you see the person, but you keep the identity private. All right, so what do you think about this one, folks? When somebody asks you anything about your friends with benefits, even if they guess who it is, should you answer A, nothing, remain silent? How many think you should say nothing? Okay, we got a few people saying that. B, you tell them, I do not disclose such topics with anyone and it's not your business. We got a few more people who say that, okay? C, you confirm the name of the person and then tell the details of the sex. Very smart audience, I like this, okay. Unfortunately, and I have to tell you this based on my practice, that a lot of people understand this, they do the exact opposite in life. What? Well, the person guessed, so I finally had someone to tell. Yeah, the problems that come from that, that's why they end up coming to see the coach. Okay, and D, you talk about how often you see the person, you talk about having a friends with benefits, but you keep the identity private. How many people say that's the right answer, D? Actually, the answer is B. Here's the problem with just being silent. Some people take silence as a confirmation. The next thing you know, they're going around telling people, I asked the person something, they didn't say anything, that's got to be a yes. The worst thing that happens is that even though you haven't confirmed anything, you are accused of it. And if the person correctly guessed the identity of your friends with benefits, you look like you have broken trust. And even though you have done nothing wrong, it's one thing you have to prove it, and it's another thing if the other person feels you violated their trust, try earning that back. It's a challenge. That's why you make it a policy. I never talk about it with anybody, period. If that's your standard rule, whether they're right, whether they're wrong, you always win. Now, what happens if your friends with benefits wants to get serious with you, but you do not return the feelings? And just so you know, that happens a lot more often when it comes to friends with benefits. One person usually starts to develop some kind of an attachment. Sometimes it's both people who feel this pull. You know, this is what happens with ex-lovers who break up. You break up with your serious relationship, you're on your own, you start off as friends with benefits again, next thing you know, you're back together again. Because the feelings always come in, those feelings of attachment. So if you're with a friends with benefits, but you don't want to be serious, but your friends with benefit does, what do? Do you do A, break up with the person right away without talking and do not continue to see the person? B, try dating the person and see where it goes? C, make your position clear. Keep seeing the person, but end it if the person continues to push and you are not interested. Or D, you can choose B or C. If you're going to engage in the world of friends with benefits, inevitably this situation will come up for you. Whether you are the one who develops feelings or your partner develops feelings, so we got to be ready for this. So if you have a friends with benefits, your friends with benefits wants to get serious with you, and you're not really feeling it back, Should you, A, how many people say it's A, break up with the person right away without talking and say, I can't continue to see you? Okay, nobody. B, try dating the person and see where it goes. Okay, we got a couple of people. C, make your position clear, keep seeing the person, but end it if the person continues to push and you're still not interested. Okay, the majority of people say C. D, how many people say, well, B or C, depending on the circumstance? Okay, we got one person, you're right. The one person there is right. The fact is that if you get along as friends with benefits, and if you're open to dating that person, and you don't have a reason not to, take a chance. Because you've already gotten over the awkwardness, you're already comfortable with each other sexually, and if the person likes you, even if you don't feel it, give that person a chance. You have nothing to lose. Friends with benefits is a time-limited affair anyway. And if you don't feel it and you're really not open to it, then for those of you who say, yeah, you tell the person, I'm not interested, and if they keep pushing, that's when you have to break away. The worst thing you can do is to stay in a friends with benefits relationship with someone who's fallen in love with you and you don't return those feelings. Because that person isn't going to move on. One of the things I teach is the ethics of dating. It is unethical to keep somebody hooked when you know there's no future for them with you. Now, what do you do if your future life partner does not want you to stay friends with your past friends with benefits? As it was mentioned, I do couples counseling, and this is an issue that does come up, where people stay very good friends with exes and very good friends with past friends with benefits. A, I would stay friends with my former friends with benefits no matter what my life partner says. B, I would end my friends with benefits relationship out of respect for my life partner. C, I would only do it for my life partner the way I would want my life partner to do it for me. I would end it if I would ask my life partner to end it. And D, I would try to get my life partner and my former friends with benefits in a threesome. Okay, some of you are smiling at that, but you know that there are people who are going to try. You've probably been in that situation where you were angry at somebody and the other person says, well, you know. Okay, believe it or not, I do couples counseling, and this happens more often than people think. It really does. Okay, so let's find out here. What do you do if your future life partner does not want you to stay friends with your past friends with benefits? So how many people say, I would still stay friends with my former friends with benefits no matter what my life partner says? Okay, we got a couple, all right. B, I would end my friends with benefits relationship out of respect for my life partner. Okay, we got a few there too. C, I would only do it for my life partner the way I would want my life partner to do it for me. I would end it if I want the same thing for my life partner to end it. Okay, we got a few there too. And how many people would try to get their life partner and former friends with benefits in a threesome? Yeah, I didn't think anybody would admit that. Okay. Here's what I can tell you. When people think about C, I'll ask it of my partner. I'll do it if I would ask the same thing from my partner. It's a great idea. It doesn't always work in real life. Because the issue is not about it being fair. We're looking at what works for your relationship. And if for those of you who said, hey, look, my life partner should not dictate who I'm going to be friends with. Once again, a great idea on paper, but it doesn't always work in real life. The answer that I normally advise to couples is B. Because the issue isn't about control, the issue is not who you can and cannot be friends with. There's something about your connection with that friendship, with that past lover of yours, that is a threat to your life partner. So until you can identify what that threat is, for the sake of your primary relationship, you do say, I'm going to put distance between me and that friendship for my life partner. At that point, the next step is to say, okay, why was it a threat? What did it represent? If you can identify the threat, if you can identify exactly what the problem was, you can possibly resume a friendship with that person in the future. But one of the absolute rules, if you want to guarantee a divorce in the future, if you want to guarantee ending up alone in the future, put your friends and family ahead of your life partner. It's a matter of time before that accumulates to the person saying, if I can't be a priority in your life, I can't be in your life. Friends with benefits works best for people who, A, are sexually inexperienced that want to practice. This includes people who are virgins. B, friends who are interested in each other, but not sure if they're interested enough for a serious relationship. C, people who are comfortable with sex and consent to being together, willing to take the risks. And D, all of the above. So, friends with benefits, who does it work best for? How many people think that A, it's best for people who are sexually inexperienced that want to practice, including virgins? No one. Oh. Okay, B, it's great for friends who are interested in each other, but not sure if they're interested in a serious relationship yet. How many people think it's B? Okay, we got a couple there. C, people who are comfortable with sex and consent to being together, willing to take the risks. How many people think that's best? Okay, that seems to be the majority so far. And D, how many people think all of the above? All three categories work best. The answer is D. The fact is, look, C is pretty well self-explanatory. You're talking about people who are already comfortable with sex. And B, some people, when they're friends and they are interested, but look, you know, what if it doesn't work out? What if we lose our social circles? What if it makes it awkward for all of our other friends who are around us? Let's try friends with benefits first, and if we're not compatible there, we'll stop and we still maintain our friendship, and that's it. In my practice, I find that a number of people, one of my specialties is working with adult virgins, people who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, never been on a date, never had a relationship. And when they enter a friends with benefits relationship, it's actually a safe environment for them to explore with another person so that it's more of it's a practice. It's not necessarily dealing with the pressures of a relationship. And for some people, because they take away that emotional element or that attachment, it becomes so safe for them that they're able to gain the confidence and take that into a future relationship. When should you break up with a friends with benefits? As we know, for most people, friends with benefits won't last forever. It's probably not going to last multiple years. So you're going to have to deal at some point with a breakup. So when should you break up with a friends with benefits? A, when you start seeing another friends with benefits. B, when you start a serious monogamous relationship with someone else. C, when you simply want to stop being with that person. And D, B and C only. All right, let's take it from the top. When should you break up with a friends with benefits? How many people say A, it's when you start with another friends with benefits? No one. All right. B, when you start a serious monogamous relationship with someone else. Okay, a few of you. C, when you simply want to stop being with that person. How many people think that's when you should stop? All right. And D, B and C only. How many people? Well, the majority say it's B and C, and you're right. One of the key issues that I deal with singles who come to me for coaching, and I got to tell you, this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see singles make, and then they wonder why after 4 or 5 years, they're alone, because the friends with benefits that they had comes in and out of their life. You don't get monogamous with the friends with benefits. You don't wait for the friends with benefits to decide, hey, let's start a relationship. They're friends with benefits for a reason, to give you the freedom to find your soulmate. And if you only start seeing someone new when your current friends with benefits ends, you're wasting your time. You are increasing the chances that you're going to end up alone. Because when people come to me, the damage is done. All those other people who said, you know, if you're available, maybe we should go out for a coffee. Oh, no, I can't. Why? because they're still thinking, I have to be monogamous with my friends with benefits. I can't be with two people at once. They're shooting themselves in the foot. In all honesty, if you're the type of person that you can only date one person at a time, friends with benefits is probably not for you. So the answer is B and C. Who is not suitable for friends with benefits? A, people who get too attached from having sex, leads to hurt feelings, even jealousy. B, people who believe that sex should be reserved as an expression of real love. C, people that want a monogamous friends with benefits, partners that have no other friends with benefits. And D, people who are cheating on a partner. And E, all of the above. So let's have a look at this, folks. And the question again, who is not suitable, who is not a good candidate for friends with benefits? Is it A, people who get attached from having sex? How many people think that if you get, okay, we got a couple. B, people who believe that sex should be reserved as an expression of real love. Okay, we got a couple there. C, people that want a monogamous friends with benefits. Are those people not suitable to be in friends with benefits? Yeah, I got one. D, people who are cheating on their partners. Okay, same type. Is it E, all of the above? Oh, what a smart audience you are. You don't even need me. You've got this packed. Okay, so let's go through this quickly. If you're the type of person that gets very attached from sex, friends with benefits may seem like a good idea at the time. Yeah, I'm single. Yeah, I'm lonely. I kind of would like some affection. Seems like a great idea at the time, but if you get really too attached, bad idea. People who believe that sex should be reserved as an expression of love, this is what I find in my practice. Some people truly have this belief that sex should only be an expression of love, but they go into friends with benefits thinking that by having sex, the other person is going to like them and want to be with them more seriously. The problem is that if you are acting one way and your belief system's another, that incongruence is going to cause problems for you. And what ends up happening, those feelings of resentment start building up. Why doesn't the person like me? Why doesn't the person want to be with me? Well, you kind of agreed to being together without getting serious. If you're acting in a way that is against your belief system, you're the one who suffers in the end. So if you do have that belief system, and for the record, there's nothing wrong with that belief system. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. But if that is your belief system, act accordingly. You are the one that has to deal with the consequences of not following out on your own beliefs. People that want a monogamous friends with benefits. Look, if you want monogamy, friends with benefits, it's an unrealistic and unethical expectation. You're friends with benefits because both of you want to seek out a soulmate. You will get in the way of you finding your soulmate if you're constantly thinking about your friends with benefits as a monogamous partner. And lastly, well, people who are cheating on their partner. Look, I've dealt with couples counseling for a long time, and sometimes the person who comes in and says, look, I'm not in love with this other person, so it doesn't count as cheating. The hurt that it causes your primary partner, the broken trust that you have to fix in your primary relationship, I have yet to meet someone that says, yeah, it was totally worth it. Having a friends with benefits on the side, it was totally worth it. It creates such a horrible situation that it takes so long to recover, and the anger and resentment that builds, sometimes it doesn't fully go away, even if the couple stays together. I am telling you this, I've been doing this for years now. Not one person has ever said, yeah, that affair with the friends with benefits was worth it. Not one. What are the risks of friends with benefits? A, it's all the risks normally associated with sex, STIs, pregnancy, privacy. B, losing your friendship with your friends with benefits. C, losing your social circles, even employment, depending on who it is and how it ends. And D, turning off your other friends from wanting to date you or be with you as a friends with benefits. And E, all of the above. So let's start off this time. We're going to start with the last one and work our way up. What are the risks of friends with benefits? How many people think it's E, all of the above? Yeah, it's the majority. How many people think that the only risk is that you turn off your other friends from wanting to date you or be with you as a friends with benefits? Okay, how many people think that the only risk is that you lose your social circles and possibly employment? How many people think losing your friendships with your friends with benefits is the only risk? Okay, and finally, how many think it's just the same risks associated with having sex? Once again, you are truly a brilliant audience. Excellent, you got the right answer again. Let's look at number C, for example. If you're going to have a friends with benefits relationship with someone from your employment, possibly a coworker, I want you to be advised that a number of companies now are putting out employee policies that say, if you get involved with another employee in this company, you at the very least have to let the human resource manager know. And the reason is that if something ever splits, if you end up in a relationship that goes south, and your partner tries to accuse you of something on the job during work time that would be considered inappropriate, as long as human resources know that the two of you were involved in some way, you cannot be accused of something that would be considered a normal part of how a couple interacts after they break up. So be very mindful of the fact that even under friends with benefits, where it's supposed to be so easy, so uncomplicated, it's going to be fine. Nobody wants the hassles of a real relationship. Friends with benefits is the easiest way to go. I'm telling you, when you decide to have sex with somebody, even if it's in secret, there are risks. You control your actions, you control your behaviors, you control your choices. You don't control the consequences of those behaviors. So be very mindful that when you engage with a friends with benefits, even if you're the one who's wronged, and I see this in my practice, someone comes in and says, we were friends with benefits, but the person totally started to mistreat me afterwards. Even if you're the person who was wronged, if you behave in a way where you start telling all of your friends, this is what happened, this is why I don't like the person, your friends may just turn around and say, well, look, this is between you and that other person, we don't want to know. So don't be surprised if people don't come to your aid. Their attitude is going to be, look, you weren't in a relationship, you were friends with benefits, we didn't know what was going on, we don't want to know now. You might be the one losing that social circle. Why do you keep your friends with benefits a secret? Is it A, it keeps you open and publicly available to meeting new people to date? B, the people you know may try to sabotage you for various reasons, such as jealousy. C, it is easier to be friends after it ends when less people know about it. It's less awkward to resume a regular friendship within your social circles. And D, if your friends know, they may start to pressure you into being into a more serious relationship. E, all of the above. So once again, we're going to start with E and work our way back up. How many people think the answer is, when asked why you keep your friends with benefits a secret, the answer is E, all of the above? Only half of you. Okay, only half of you. How many people think that the biggest reason is, if your friends know, they may start to pressure you into being into a serious relationship? Okay. C, it's easier to be friends after when it ends if less people know about it because it's less awkward. It's easier to just be friends after and you can resume your friendship in your social circles. Okay, we got a couple there. B, the people who know may try to sabotage you for various reasons such as jealousy. Okay. And A, it keeps you open and publicly available to meeting new people to date. Okay. Actually, it's all of them. And the biggest surprise is always letter D. When people start becoming public with their friends with benefits, everybody around them is just going to ask them, well, if you're friends with benefits, why aren't you dating? And they may actually set up events where they're going to seat you next to your friends with benefits. They don't want to take part in introducing you to someone new because they figure, well, yeah, they're sort of friends with benefits, but maybe something more will develop, and I don't want to be the person that takes them away from each other. I've also had to counsel people who say, I don't understand why nobody else wants to date me within my social group. And it turns out they're very public about every friends with benefits they have. And the idea is people think, well, they're involved with someone already, and they're being public about it. So they may not be serious, but there's still something there. That's the assumption. You always keep your friends with benefits secret. If you have 3 friends with benefits right now, I should not know about them. Your friends should not know about them. Your actual friends with benefits don't necessarily need to know about one another. I don't want to come here and present it as, this is the best thing ever, folks. And I don't want to come in here and say, this is very bad. You shouldn't be doing friends with benefits. They're doing shame, 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 shame. My attitude is, if you go into it, be mature about it, be smart about it. It's not as uncomplicated as people think. And that's my presentation, folks. I invite you all to my website. If you sign up for my newsletter, I've written a book 400 pages long that talks about friends with benefits, emotional needs, and various other articles. If you go to franktalks.com to the newsletter page and you sign up, within about 5 or 10 minutes, you'll get that ebook link emailed to you. Thank you very much.